Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another video for The Division. Now, if you missed last week's video, then I spoke about the Arekkz, one of the new factions seen in the E3 trailer. So if you haven't seen that, then make sure you go and check it out. But this week I am back, taking a more in-depth look at items, loot and rarity. If you do enjoy this video, then it would be mega awesome if you could hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Now let's get started. I covered loot and item rarity briefly in my Everything We Know About the Dark Zones video. So if you've seen that, then you've already got a good grounding. And if you haven't, then you can find a link to it in the description box down below. But in this video, I want to go into a bit more detail. First up, let's talk about items. As it currently stands, based on the build I played at E3, in your inventory you have a total of 10 slots. 9 of these are for items you can use, and the 10th is for items found within the Dark Zone, i.e. contaminated items. But I'll get into that a bit more in a moment. First up, weapons. You have a primary, a secondary and a sidearm. Now from what I can gather, it seemed that the primary and secondary slots are relatively open. You can carry pretty much whatever you want here, aside from of course sidearms, as that is what the dedicated sidearm slot is for. But the primary and secondary slots, it appears you're free to mix and match as you please. So it's not like Destiny, for example, where you can only equip primary weapons in the primary slot, secondaries in the secondary, etc. This time around it seems like you have complete freedom. At E3 for example, one character carried a shotgun in their primary slot and a machine gun in their secondary, while another character carried an assault rifle in their primary and a DMR in their secondary, while the third character had an SMG primary and a sniper rifle secondary. So it seems that this fits nicely into the Division's classless system in that it gives you complete freedom to shape your character. And then of course, as mentioned, the sidearm slot will hold only sidearms. I think that's because at E3, sidearms had infinite ammo, and that's likely because it's designed to be your last resort when you run out of ammo for your mains. Then moving on to gear, you have torso, gloves, legs, knees and gas mask, as well as a backpack too. What's more, if you remember the video I did just before E3 from the community Q&A, we know that gear, at least for the torso, has multiple layers that you can customize too. So it seems that within each section, there will likely be subsections. Whether this extends to all the gear slots, or just say the torso and the legs, does of course still remain to be seen, but for now, there's a fair bit of variety. Now all items, be that weapon or gear, will fall within one of 5 categories of rarity. Common loot is grey, uncommon is green, rare loot is blue, epic loot is pink, and legendary loot is orange. And while at the most basic level, the rarer the gear, the better it is, there's more to it than that. Weapons, for example. Not only will weapons have damage values, but they'll also have mod slots. These will allow you to attach things like sights, stocks, grips, maybe even extended mags. The exact mods available aren't currently known, but we know that they do exist. So a legendary weapon may have more damage and more mod slots, giving it far greater potential than say a rare weapon with only one slot. Not to mention that some legendary weapons may also come with attachments already equipped. Whether you're able to actually remove those and say attach them on an alternate weapon, again isn't confirmed, but it's food for thought. On top of that, items also have levels to them. After all, the Division does work on an RPG based system, so there's levels, XP and progression. Just like in any RPG, you can only use weapons and items on or below your character level. So if you pick up an insane high level weapon, then just hang on to it until you can use them later. And finally, moving back to the concept of contaminated loot. The way looting works in the Division is as follows. Any loot you find and pick up outside of the Dark Zone is yours to keep, and you can use it there and then. Provided, of course, you meet the level requirement. Armour, weapons, bags, you name it, if you find it, it's yours to use. However, anything you find within the Dark Zone is known as contaminated loot, and this loot cannot be used until it is decontaminated, which is done by extracting the loot successfully at the extraction zone. Once you've done that, your extracted loot will then be sent to your nearest base, at which point you can then collect it and use it, again provided you meet the level requirements. Now loot can be found in a number of different ways. Some items you'll simply find lying around the world, and these won't always be gear or weapons, these could be other currently unknown items. But on top of that, killing enemies has a chance to drop loot, and of course, as seen in the gameplay, clearing out a large group of enemies at key points within the Dark Zone will also result in loot chests spawning, which will of course allow you to get some pretty sweet stuff. And that, my friends, is pretty much it. That is a quick overview of items, loot, rarity, and some other extra information for good measure. If you guys do have any questions, then by all means let me know in the comments down below, but aside from that, thank you very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.